Hi, I'm Lisa Singer, the Senior Director of Event Programming at MediaPost, and welcome to our new Brand Insider series, Ask Me Anything. Now, the way this series came about is after all of our Brand Insider summits, the one thing we consistently hear from you, or at least one of the things, and really what you think makes us so unique, is not only all the amazing people you're getting to meet, but also all of the great conversations you're having. You're really sharing insights. You're asking each other questions. And that's what this series is all about. It gives you the opportunity to ask questions of your peers. We wanted to keep the conversation going from our events. And this is a chance, again, to ask them whatever you want. Well, within reason, of course. So if you have a question for a particular person, let us know, or maybe a general question for everyone, let us know and we'll get that for you. So our spotlight today is on Ranjan Roy. He is the Senior Vice President at Adore Me and a very welcome guest at our Brand Insider Summits. Hey, Ranjan.
Hey, very excited to be here for and ready to be asked anything.
Well, you better. You're a brave man, and we will ask you everything because people want to know. And people probably remember you. You've been to a number of our events, but the last event you were at was our D2C event in May in South Carolina, last May, actually. And you did this amazing AI presentation, really informative, but really entertaining. Because I do remember like arms sticking out of skirts and just some unique imagery that you were showing us. But really what struck me is how optimistic you were. You would talk about things that maybe we weren't quite there yet with AI, but you truly believed we would get there. Now, here we are about a little more than a year later, and I want to hear about that from you. I mean, obviously, you guys have evolved. AI has certainly evolved. How are you leveraging AI today that maybe you didn't imagine, or you did imagine, but you weren't there, that you're now doing, that you're really getting value out of it as opposed to the hype that we're seeing so much of?
Yeah, so I can't believe that was more than a year ago that I spoke back in South Carolina. And at the time, what you're referring to is actually for imagery, fingers were one of the most difficult things to solve. That when you would see, when you would generate an image, you would have six fingers, 10 fingers, arms coming out in weird ways. And there's a very weird quirk in terms of AI image generation. And that has effectively been solved. So I hope my optimism was somewhat grounded. Like nowadays, with new versions of Dolly and Midjourney and other image generation tools, imagery has progressed insanely fast over the last year. Now, even with Runway and Gen Alpha 3, video is something that is kind of in that weird finger phase, but you can start to see where it's going to go. And before I even get into how we're using it at the company right now and how that's evolved, to me, the way I've looked at this since I first used GPT-3 back in November 2021 is not to look at the stuff that goes wrong, but to look at the stuff that goes right and think about how you could extrapolate that in the coming months or years and how it can get better and better. And that's why instead of looking at the weird fingers a year ago, looking at all the things it was doing right and trying to understand underneath what's actually happening with the technology and knowing that with a little more processing power, a little more advance in the model, that can be solved. And to me, the advances that have been made have been incredible, but the hype is something that we're very cognizant of. And honestly, as someone who has been one of the most optimistic people around generative AI, makes it a little more difficult to implement things because people's expectations become much higher on that first try versus before it was all fun experimenting and then you would see what works, do what doesn't, where you can improve. So the hype has definitely made things a bit more complex as of today.
So what are you doing right? Where is it offering value? The most significant way, I'm sure there's a lot of different ways you could probably run down, but most significantly, where is it offering you value?
Yeah, so two main things it does. And the way we always try to, especially as marketers, and now more than ever because there's real money being spent, ROI is obviously the first concern for any kind of investment like this, is there's two things that happen. One, there are things that it saves people time doing things that they already did. And then there's allowing it to do things that never could have been done, whether that's from a creative standpoint or from simply a scale standpoint, that you never could have had one-to-one communication with millions of customers using having completely original communication for every single one of them. So for us, on the time saving side, that has been the biggest improvement over the last year. That's where we had seen success, and that's where we see more and more success. And that started with product descriptions. Now that's moved to all different types of copy and communication across the website. On imagery, a very cool thing that we've now done is we've rethought the way we do photo shoots. So now specific photo shoots are done where they're models with an LCD background that can have generative AI images already created and change for the model, change the background to completely original settings, either otherworldly or just places that, as a mid-sized growing DTC brand, we're not going to justify an expense. So on the image side, on the photo retouching side, we've seen a lot of advance. And so that's all around time saving. But then in terms of creating completely new communications, we've been operationalizing that idea of one-to-one communication. We've done small tests around, when you buy a product, are there things that from your purchase history we can tie and communicate to you about that product based both on your purchase history, the product reviews, taking all that data and crafting it into a fun, memorable little blurb that shows up in the email when you get your confirmation. So there's all types of things that have been done. And honestly, that idea of creating completely personalized experiences throughout the entire shopping funnel, that's probably the thing I'm most excited about right now.
Yeah, no, and I mean, obviously, just the efficiency and the money saving. I mean, that's amazing. That's totally a game changer. And I remember when you were talking about really what AI is or what generative AI is, and it's very predictive. You mentioned something like, in simplistic terms, when you say peanut butter, and most likely everyone knows the next word is jelly. So our next question to you is really about being predictive, predicting in a year from now. We talked about the difference from a year ago to today. So what are you most excited about? And you said what you're excited about right now. What are you most excited about a year from now? What do you see changing and being that next game changer?
All right. So a year from now, I'm gonna break that prediction into two parts. First, I actually think, and again, as an optimist, we are going to go through a bit of a trough of disillusionment from the Gartner hype cycle. Like, I think we are going to see a bit of questioning and pushback because, again, the hype cycle has gotten so big that the expectations are so high that a lot of companies, there's a lot that went into us being successful here. That's starting small, experimenting small, having clean data infrastructures everywhere, having a digitally savvy overall team who's ready to experiment. So a lot of that stuff had to go right to see a good output. And I think a lot of companies are jumping in probably too optimistically and too quickly. So I think over the next year, we're going to see a bit of a shakeout. But what I'm most excited about, and I think and I hope comes out of that, is the democratization of these tools. Because right now we still see, even in the last year, more so than the technological advance, what's actually been more exciting to me is the number of people in the company who are using some type of generative AI tool, whether that's are on the retouching team, not only creating their own new processes using Adobe Firefly's new generative AI capabilities, but creating entirely new workflows and like making it work for them. Because that's one of those that if you have like an innovation group or engineers sitting far away who are experimenting with this stuff, getting it to actually help someone's day-to-day job is a lot more difficult. For us, I manage the copywriting team, so it was very easy to start there and see some success. But to me, we are seeing more and more people understand what is a prompt, how do I prompt, how can I try to apply this in my day-to-day life. So the very optimistic case is all the, like, you see some crazy demo or some crazy, like, the video is the next big frontier that I think is probably a couple years away from really getting operationalized. But to me, it's actually more mundane. What's exciting? It's every day, everyone across the company figuring out how does this help me do my job better.
Yeah, and I mean, I was one of those AI, no, no, and I've started using it, and I'm sure, as I said, even talking to other people early on at different summits, again, it was like the scare factor, and how can we trust it? And now more and more are using it, even though it's been around for years. Just really, it's coming into full play. Okay, so I want to get a little bit more about. I know another thing you sort of described yourself as a business nerd, or at least sort of a business nerd. Um, so for all those business nerds out there just starting out, what advice would you give them, the ones that want to be you, they want to be a leader in the industry?
I think right now, the most important skill to have, and actually, generative AI is weirdly like at the center of this, is, and we've seen this for years, that blend of technical and business slash strategy has been more and more important. We see that, especially in the marketing side, as performance driven marketing grew in importance, the ability to start with reading a spreadsheet, but then maybe write basic SQL queries or understand data became more and more important for any marketer. I think that's going to extend to anyone on the business side having a better understanding of just how to do basic technical things becomes more important. And the reason I think generative AI is so important for that is like writing code now is something that a business person can do. I actually Claude Sonnet I've been using to kind of hack together little mini app experiences myself and actually deploy them, which is something I never could do before. And now it writes the code for you, walks you through how to deploy it to GitHub, all these things that before I would have to work with an engineer necessarily for, I can at least start to experiment with. And what that allows you to do is then better speak to the product team, the engineering team, solve your own problems. And I think that is going to become more and more and more in demand.
Yep. No, I think it changes. It definitely evolves. And when you were starting out, it maybe you didn't even think about that. Whereas now, obviously, it's so commonplace. All right, another question for you. Now, say you weren't a marketer or you weren't a strategist the way you are to adore me, what would plan B be?
That is a good question. Honestly, the to me right now, the creative element. So I love to write. And actually, I will say this as a writer, and I have a newsletter at readmargins.com. I write with a friend that we have like a pretty good audience, and we write about technology and business just for fun.
Mhm.
Um, Actually, the opportunities to just be creative are exploding right now. So, I mean, honestly, and I don't even know what that looks like, what being a writer is going to mean exactly in a couple of years, or being a video producer, being a image creator. But I think like the blending of all these things, the most exciting to me is content creation has gotten more fun, more exciting. We even see this on our like social team in the past. You would have to ask the video team to create the video for you. Now everyone on the social team knows how to use CapCut or any other video editing software. So all these skills are blending because technology makes it easier. And the fun part of it is it just creates much, much better content overall. And I think that's fun, and expressing yourself is fun. And it's, I don't know, I don't want to say like Hollywood writer or movie creator. I don't know, maybe something in that direction.
Well, I have to jump in because I actually asked ChatGPT, putting your information in, what would be your plan B? And you weren't that too far from there.
Wait, this is interesting. This is
A
interesting.
few things in there, but one was a political analyst or commentator because you had that poli sci degree. So that,
Okay, yeah.
poli sci. And also another was, again, you love news feeds. That's again part of your profile. And with your background in digital media, that you would be a great reporter or journalist or anchor. So there you are. You kind of
Maybe that could be
and
political commentary in this day and age
might be
is might be a
scary.
little scarier to
Yeah,
jump into, but
that's true.
yeah, I do
And
love the news.
a movie maker
Yeah.
came into play, so you can say that. But I thought the most interesting was to be a stand-up comic. So based on how
Oh,
you were at our event, you can have stand-up comedic as your plan B. So those are just
I can work with that.
something to keep in mind. All right. So Ranjan, I have to ask you, are you ready to do our rapid fire questions? Are you up for it?
I think I am. I guess I am to be asked anything, so I have to
Ask
be.
anything. Now, these are going to be just what first comes to mind, a quick answer, just boom, boom, boom. Okay? Ready to
Let's do
go.
it.
Last book you read.
I'm reading The Wager about the shipwreck. It's pretty good.
Okay. What ad campaign do you wish you thought of?
Oh, it's a competitor, and it's our main competitor, but Skims nipple bra launch, if you're familiar, it was really good. That was our like envy campaign from last year.
Wow. Okay. Very good. And I
I
appreciate you
said it. I'm honest. I'm honest.
admitting even a competitor's ad. Okay. How about if you could have dinner with someone dead or alive, who would it be? Anyone.
Oh, I've thought about this one in the past. I'm going to go George Washington, especially right now, talking American, where it stands, history, all these kind of things. When we all talk about the founding fathers and what they would have wanted, I want to know what would he have
Okay.
wanted.
That works. And last question, or last rapid fire question. What does every marketer need to embrace to be successful today and in 2025? One word.
Creativity.
Creativity. Got it. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Ranjan. I appreciate it. Your bravery and your honesty. You are awesome. Thanks so much for being a part of this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
That
And
wasn't too bad.
no, not too bad. Okay. So that's good to know. Maybe I'll have to make tougher questions. Everyone ask questions, get them a little bit more difficult. And thank you for watching. Remember, these are questions from your peers. And if you have a question for a marketer, for anyone, please send them our way. We will do our best to get them. If you want to be in the spotlight yourself, let us know. And we will also love to include you for Ask Me Anything. So just reach out and let us know. And thank you again. And thanks again, Ranjan.
Thank you.